I am Quickstep the Green Knight at your service.
Delta.
Shiny Asha.
Crimson Lauren.
And today, the anime movie we watched today was Final Fantasy Advent Children. We're not sure if it was the complete version, though. We got a feeling it's not. So basically, this is a sequel to Final Fantasy VII. And literally, its first scene, I believe, is actually the end scene of the game. The scene with Red 13 and the two lion wolf thingies. I don't know what the heck his species name is.
I don't know.
Doggo. He's a doggo.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
It's from what we watched last week.
Oh.
Yeah. So basically, it's a continuation of the story. It's basically, how to describe it?
Like the aftermath, epilogue, however you want to say it.
It's one of the last, I guess. I was more thinking like episodes or arcs of the storylines for like the game. You could consider it's like an animated version of that. And basically, it takes place 2 years after the end of the game, where we get to see certain things going on, including this disease that seems to be spreading around people called geostigma. It's basically just doing serious damage like the plague.
I don't know if you want to call it damage, so to speak. And like,
But it is making people feel really painful.
And it does. I don't know if this is in the complete version. You do see someone dying from it, so.
oh yeah, gotta cut that.
Yeah, so hence why I'm saying it does some serious damage. And we learn later who this is because Sephiroth is being a jerk. Because, it's Sephiroth. He can't not be a jerk. Yeah. So, anyone else's initial thoughts?
Well, I'm not the biggest fan of Final Fantasy. I don't know very much about it, but the two things I do know is Sephiroth and Cloud. Those are the two major characters that I've always known about, even before I knew about Final Fantasy. I was like, oh, that's Cloud and Sephiroth. Do I know what they're from now?
I have to say, if there was a Final Fantasy connoisseur in the group in this discussion, this might be going easier.
Yeah. So,
Aside from you, Quickstep, aside from you.
yeah, aside from us, Quickstep.
I will say this. Final Fantasy Advent Children, it does, in a way, like I said, it's a sequel to the game, so you would want to know a little bit about the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives a quick recap, but yeah. And some funny lampshade things, like Denzel doesn't know who the heck Yuffie and Vincent are, the special guest characters.
Still, there's one tradition that's being kept up in this movie. Someone using a sword as a grave post.
Yes.
Yeah, especially if you know whose grave post that is.
Yep, I do.
So do I.
I have to be honest though, when I first saw the movie, I thought that was a way of someone declaring war, because I've seen something similar with a tomahawk to a house post in Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah, no, it's
Yep.
it's the thing, especially who Cloud got the Buster Sword from.
Yep.
Where he got the fusion sword, nobody knows. Yeah.
Yep.
Still pretty badass though.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
Especially when you get to see Omniverse version 5.
I thought you said it was 6.
I'm not sure. I think in the complete version it's supposed to be 6 or 5. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. Yeah, but yeah, basically it leads up to basically figure out basically the entire plot for Advent Children and its complete version is there's these mysterious 3 figures who are looking for Genova's head to complete some sort of reunion.
Talk about a weirdo headhunt.
Well, they're puppets, and you know what puppets do? They dance on their strings. They've got the strings attached. They got the strings attached
Yeah,
to
but
them.
here's the thing: who's pulling the strings, though?
Sephiroth.
Are we sure it's him? Could be somebody else.
Oh,
Very valid point.
I don't
That
know.
is a valid point, Crimson Lord.
I mean, there's no indication they were actually being guided by Sephiroth or anybody else in the series.
I'm gonna say I disagree with that because if you remember with 7, Sephiroth does play a pretty good of a puppet master.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I haven't even finished the entire game.
You're looking at the guy who's only experienced with Final Fantasy as guest characters in Kingdom Hearts.
Oh.
Eh,
So I'm just trying to go off what I know.
that's fair. I'm just saying, like, I'm going off. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to hide spoilers here because with Advent Children, like I said, you really do kind of need to see
Yeah,
to
you
play the
kind of.
games,
Yeah, you kind of need to play the game to get the
or at least
idea.
know a gist of the story.
Right.
Like, who's Barrett? Why does he seem close to Marlene? Because he's her adopted father. Which is one of the funniest.
Badass. He is badass.
Dude, he's literally Mr. T.
Mr. T
With
with
the
a
mechanical
badass
hand
gun.
Hey, quick question. When did we jump into discussing characters?
We just did. There's your
Yeah,
answer.
Yeah, we kind of just did out of the ordinary.
So I guess we already figured out the plot then.
Yep.
I mean, there's nothing much about it. They're looking for Genova's head, and everyone's trying to stop him.
Yep.
That's pretty much the plot. Compared to the last-
Any other characters we want to discuss?
Tifa. If I could, I would love to cosplay as her sometime in the future.
I think you could pull it off.
I mean, like, not only is she badass, but
She's the only person in the series not to fight with weapon. She uses her fists.
she's a martial artist.
She's the monk class, basically.
I would say you would need to, still, cosplaying a shirt, I would say your hair would need to get a little longer, and that'd be a lot of black hair dye.
You could always do a
Black or
wig.
brown.
Yeah. But Tifa, she basically shows herself being the teen mom character. Not the fact she's also watching 2 kids.
And,
Yeah.
and taking care of a bar on top of that.
And her shipping service with Cloud. They're running a ship.
You know, after seeing the whole movie between those two, she seems like the kind of girl who has feelings for Claude, but knows he's completely dense.
Yeah. Are you okay? You okay, Quick Step?
Sorry, I just had to laugh there for a second.
Okay.
What'd I say?
No, it's not you.
you said,
It was-
it's just irony you don't get what you said.
Well, it's the common thought for most characters in anime, whether it be video game or series, there's usually one guy who girls are crushing on who's completely dense.
that is
I wouldn't
true.
say it's that Cloud is dense, it's just he's...
Kind of a loner, right?
Yeah, it's from what happened with the significant of Aerith. As basically Cloud's entire story arc in this thing, going back to a previous, is he failed her. And he's not letting go of that regret. He wasn't strong enough to save her.
Mm-hmm.
Poor her.
Well, dude, she died.
Yeah, well,
She got stabbed in the back by Sephiroth.
Well, she wouldn't want Cloud going around moping around for the rest of his life.
Well, no, and that's not. But the whole point is he's got to let it go.
Like, he has to let it go at some point. Stop it.
No.
Stop. I may have been gone for a while, but I don't need that here. Please.
He's the one who started singing. You know how I feel about that song.
Ay,
All right, back on topic.
Any other characters we want to talk about?
Vincent.
Vincent Valentine.
Basically our vampire character.
Personally,
He gives the feeling of a vampire.
Yeah, he does.
Deal.
yeah, still,
No.
he looks like the type that'd be a assassin, and judging by how he moves, his powers, he'd be really good at that job.
Yeah.
Really, super good. Like, if he could be like, maybe some sort of sniper or something.
Well, he's the only other character in the series to use a gun. He relies on his pistol, Cerberus.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was the name of his pistol.
Still,
Yeah.
does he ever use that hand of his? The one that's blood?
No.
I don't think so. I know he does. I think he does. Maybe if you go into his limit break form, which he takes on a beast form via the chaos material, I believe. Materia
too bad
that's
we
keeping
didn't
him
see
alive.
Yeah, it's too bad we didn't see any materia play a role in this besides
Well,
where
we-
Kadaj like put one of the materia in his arm.
And some of the Zazu and the third guy.
got some material for you.
Yuffie.
Yazoo and Laws?
Basically,
Laws.
I want to say Sephiroth's cunning and strength.
Yep.
Because our three main villains are pretty much remnants of Sephiroth, all based off a personality of him.
Which would be which and which?
Well, the obvious one is the third guy, the Laz. The guy with the gauntlets that really make me think Shocker right now. Sorry, Spider-Man Homecoming. That is but yeah, he's basically Sephiroth's strength, obviously.
Strength, but he's sometimes a crybaby.
Well, he's all based on.
Both.
I'm saying yes, but he's more focused on Sephiroth's strength. He's basically the dumb muscle in that case. But he also has one of the most hilarious throwbacks in the entire series. What's his cell phone? The Final Fantasy VII victory theme.
Which it like, and like at the beginning of the film, you hear that at the beginning of the game, and it's like, it brings that nostalgia back.
Yeah.
It's like,
I was almost tempted if you weren't watching the subs, I would have started playing Final Fantasy VII on my laptop. But I have it on Steam. Yeah. I'll say one thing. Actually, I'll leave that for negative thoughts. But yeah, and for the other two, I'm not really exactly sure where they fall into, because they kind of share some traits equally. Like I want to say, yes, he seems like Sephiroth's cunning.
Maybe envy.
Maybe. And the third, he seems to be. I don't know how to respond.
Someone who's really obsessed with his.
Yeah, I would say his would be Sephiroth's obsession with his mother Genova, who ironically is not actually his mother. No, his mother is Vincent's girlfriend, ex-girlfriend. Yup. That's not.
I don't know what to say to that at this point.
And then,
okay.
what about Sid?
Vincent?
Oh, Sid?
Sid. Shut up and drink your goddamn tea.
Sid.
Always the recurring character in a Final Fantasy. This Sid is probably one of the most hilarious and one of the best ones. He's one of the ones who joins you in the fight, playing the role of the Dragoon, basically the spearman.
And there's probably been a character that's lived through the longest, all the way up to the current Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah.
And he's a grandpa, no less.
Well, technically, not all of them are the same Sids.
Maybe.
No, I mean, that's physically impossible. Some of these games literally take place in no same continuity.
So then which Sid would be in number 15?
15 Sid. Sid is, there's always a Sid in a Final Fantasy. It's usually
there's 15 Sids? How many kids? Like, how many?
Let's just say Sid is a very common name in Final Fantasy. Also with people having the last name Highwind.
Oh, good lord.
Yeah, but Sid, he's basically, he's a throwback, and he's also, again, showing another thing, he's the pilot. In 7, the ship was Highwind, but now he brings in a new ship, Shara. Named after his wife. He named a ship after his wife.
Which isn't bad.
No, it's not bad. Especially with, the throwback, what he did with her. But I'm not going to go into that. Yeah, Sid, he seems like the grumpy old man. My only sad thing is we don't get to see
If you want off, just jump.
Saying that to Barrett, our Mr. T. I'm almost tempted would have laughed to see Barrett just jump off. That would have been funny.
That would have been pretty badass.
Right.
Oh, yeah, it's Mr. T.
I suppose the next character on the list would be Yuffie, the ninja girl.
Yes.
Now, Yuffie, we don't get to see much of her character, but we do see some key things. She loves her materia.
That's 1.
Motion sickness.
2.
And she's a ninja.
3.
That's pretty much it.
Still, if there was one character I was sad not to say in this movie, it would have to be Leon.
Oh, well,
yeah,
Leon
there's a reason he's not part of the same continuity.
Yeah, Leon's
from 8.
Leon's from 8 with Squall and Laguna.
Not with Squall. Leon and Squall are the same person.
I know they are. I'm just saying that's Laguna and Squall fused.
I still would have loved to see him in the movie.
It would have been awesome to see him, but it would have made no sense. Squall Leonhardt is the main character of Final Fantasy VIII, which has no connection to 7.
Yeah.
Like I said, just because they're numbers,
Yeah, that doesn't mean they're all
Same
in
place,
a
same
same
time.
storyline.
yeah, they're Final Fantasy isn't like Pokemon where certain games all have the same connected. No, almost all Final Fantasy games do not share the same universe. Almost none of them do, actually.
Yeah.
Not even a close. I think the closest reference to another universe is 7 and 10. And even then, I'm not sure about that.
Well, anyway, moving on to positives.
But there's more characters we can talk about.
Like who?
Aerith.
Oh yeah, you kept calling her the White Mage.
Yeah,
Because she's pretty much known for her role being the healer type unit.
That's right. In the game, that's pretty much what she was.
That her limit break great gospel shows up in this movie and basically does the one thing you always can rely on the White Mage to do. Heals all the Jacob and Sith. Yeah, basically showing the trope, not too dead to save the day. Again.
True.
It's more like she fused with the life stream by the look of it.
Well, that's more part of what she is. Unlike the rest of the cast, she's not human. She's an ancient, basically. Basically, that's just part of her race, the control with the light stream. Yeah. And basically, Aerith, she plus the driving plot of, again, like I said, Cloud is upset he failed to save her from being skewered by Sephiroth. Yeah.
Yeah, and she told him to move on and let it go.
Yeah, and he does. And you also see another thing, like almost all the characters have those pink ribbons. As someone mentioned, it's not for protection, that's a throwback to Aerith.
Yep.
Like a tribute. That's what those ribbons are for. Because Aerith was close to the entire group. Yeah, so. And we even see her church. The moment when Cloud first gets healed by that's Aerith's church. And where Tifa fights Yazoo, or whatever the big guy is. Yeah, who else are we going to talk about? Zack, you don't really see much of him, but I mean, you see Cloud where Zack's grave is and Zack's sword is on. The Buster Sword was Zack's before it was Cloud's.
Yep.
Because Zack gave it to Cloud.
Well, he passed it on along with his dream when Zack reached his unfortunate fate, which I don't want to go into. Yeah, Zack, he doesn't throw much of a role in just Advent Children. In Complete, you get to see him do a little bit more, because he gives Cloud a rousing speech and stuff in the middle of the Sephiroth fight. Talks about how like he did it once before. Asks if he wants the help, which I would love to have seen just Zack come out of nowhere and just bash Sephiroth with just a soldier sword. Get a redo of a fight between, show what two first-class soldiers can do. Because Zack, he's a first-class soldier, and he was basically, in a way, you could call Cloud's mentor.
Yep.
Yeah, he was also Aerith's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Where we get one of the best ships in Final Fantasy. 7. Yeah, basically that's real all we can say about Zack's character. There's not much more we can say. If you wanted more about Zack's character, go play Crisis Core. He's the main character.
Or watch Crisis Core.
Crisis Core you can't watch.
Although he is vacantly seen in Birth by Sleep for Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, but that's a different.
But like a way younger Zack, I think.
Yeah, way younger. God, I hope he comes back in 3. I want to know what happened to him at the end of Birth by Sleep.
I still gotta play Birth.
Right, the only other character I think we could talk about, other than Marlene and Denzel,
Sephiroth.
well, we can talk. Actually, there's a lot we can talk about characters because there's also Reno and Rude.
Oh my lord, the funniest duo in Final Fantasy VII. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, basically our main Turk characters, they're usually those two guys, and they're shown with those two guys for our Vitlins, the Revenants, basically fighting the crap out of Yaz and Lazu. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the funniest scenes is when Rude loses his glasses.
And then he gets another pair.
He pulls another
pair out.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, how many glasses do you have in your jacket?
Who knows? But the dude took a side to the head.
It seemed like he was almost going to be knocked over.
Yeah, but he still was standing for quite a few seconds. And his partner is freaking Axel. No, seriously. They're voiced by the same person.
Yeah, they are voiced by the same person.
English and Japanese.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, you can even freaking see a bit of Axel's personality in Reno.
Yeah,
Got it
but it looks
memorized.
like the guy uses one of those like stun rod billy clubs, not the chakrams.
I know, maybe he would do a little better if he had his chakrams. Or his keyblade.
Anyway.
Yeah, the only other character I think, other than Sephiroth, we could talk about would be Rufus.
Oh no, the president of Shinra.
Who basically pulls one of the best messes with you moments. It's one of the most pivotal scenes in the plot.
We won't give any spoilers. You'll have to
But
watch
say when you
yourself.
see it, you will laugh your head off. Yeah. This is one of the things is, you know, he just believes in knows the Turks are going to do what they do. When he's ends up to the building, they just catch him. He doesn't even freak out. That's all I will say about the scene. But if you want to know what really happened, you gotta watch the movie. It brings up one of the biggest rewatch bonuses in the entire film. I guess the only other character we can talk about.
I think we got to everybody.
Yeah.
The only person we haven't talked about is Red 13, Kate Sith, and Sephiroth.
Yeah.
And Red 13 and Kate Sith, there's not much to say.
There really isn't.
Kate
much to
Sith,
say
he doesn't
about
really
this.
do anything, which is fair because Kate Sith is actually only just a robot.
Yeah.
Voiced, played by Reeve, and has no combat thing. And Red 13 doesn't really have much in combat, is because he was apparently when the film was being made really hard to animate, so they didn't really give him a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I can tell how much work that they put in the animation for Red 13. It's like, yeah, I could see why that they wouldn't put him in so many scenes.
yeah, but he's still awesome for the scenes he has.
That's true.
Just
That's
biting Bahamut. Dude fights with his.
Bahamut.
Yeah, Bahamut Sin, basically one of the biggest bads, and has one of the best combat scenes where they're just throwing Cloud higher and higher. God, I just thought about a hilarious song to put for an AMV on that scene. And of course, Sephiroth, our villain.
Dun dun dun.
He comes back for the end because this is Final Fantasy VII, and you almost always need Sephiroth somewhere.
Yeah.
There's only one game I think in the whole Final Fantasy games Sephiroth has not appeared in, and I think that's Dirge of Cerberus.
I think so, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I haven't played that one, and I
Yeah.
only read briefly, but I think that's more a throwback to other things with Vincent, following Vincent's story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sephiroth, he comes back, and we get to see.
You know,
See-
the traditional fight scene between him and Cloud.
Because again, you need a fight scene between him and Cloud. They're literally the big bad and the big good of their fic story. And basically, we even show Sephiroth apparently trained while he was in hell. Because the attack that beat him in Final Fantasy VII Omni Slash does not work anymore. Cloud needed to bring out a bigger Omni Slash.
Which was awesome.
And the only time in the entire movie, Cloud uses all parts of his fusion sword
Yep.
for an Omni Slash.
And it worked.
It shows Sephiroth still can't take an Omni Slash.
I was kind of disappointed with the length of the fight. I felt it should have been a little bit longer, just because of how major a villain Sephiroth is.
True, but even shows Sephiroth, who was the strongest person in Final Fantasy, still can't just beat an infantryman from Shinra.
No, I don't think he was technically alive. It seemed like he was just using that one guy as a host.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was, practically.
We could say Sephiroth didn't truly 100% come back. Basically, he just using Homization and his remnant in Genova, he basically fused to summon Sephiroth. And basically, he came back via using the remaining cells of Genova, or Genova's head as they call it, and his remnant. Because that's what these three people, they're his remnant.
Yep.
Yeah. And he basically fused back and fights Cloud for a good portion of the end of the fight, which notably only took 10 minutes if you notice.
Yep.
Which that's a huge ironic, a bit of a amusing joke with Barrett's last line. I give him 10 minutes. Fight takes 10 minutes.
Yeah, they took 10
Like a little less than 10 minutes, maybe. Oh, yeah, Barrett, you should have given him 9. Yeah. You could actually say, technically the fight wasn't that close, because technically, in a way, Cloud has been fighting Sephiroth the entire time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Especially if you also think about, Sephiroth has actually been screwing with Cloud by the Geosigma the entire time.
Yep.
Just, every time he's got him, just messes with him. Like, he basically causes, Sephiroth's the cause of the Geostigma and all that. Alright, I guess that's really all we can say about Sephiroth.
Positives?
We already talked about positive, I think you mean negatives.
Negative, no.
Yeah.
All right, Delta, you've already talked. You think that
The fight should have been longer, but the other negative I have is that it's maybe a very, very, very minor negative because it kind of expects you to have played the game before it. So if you don't, you're kind of running into the movie a little blind.
the only really thing with the previous stories, it gives you a brief recap of the events. But again, this is technically a sequel. You should have already know what happens in 7.
Yeah, and also like for me and Quickstep who have seen this before and a few others, it feels like there are a couple of scenes that aren't in this that, from what we saw, were in there before, and I feel like they took them out. And it's kind of like
I'm not even sure. I think actually not even that. I think we were just watching Advent Children not complete. I think it was either a mislabel because there were scenes missing. Like I mentioned, Zach's scene in Sephiroth's fight is not present.
Yeah.
And also, I think there's more scenes with like why they know all to be at the church is missing as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'll say that's not my biggest gripe. I mean, that is an annoyance, but one thing that I kind of find a little sad, this might be because we watched it in sub instead of dub, but one of my favorite jokes in this movie is not present because, well, partially because that was an English dub thing, but you don't get to see the 7-year-old girl speak like Mr. T.
Oh, I missed that. That was one of my favorite jokes ever.
Just because it's a 7-year-old speaking like Mr. T, you know she takes off.
Yep, she takes off of Barrett.
Yeah. Well, he was her adopted dad. What do you think? Denzel was supposed to take after Barrett?
I don't know.
No. Denzel literally got raised by him. Yeah, that's really the only real gripe I can get with this movie. Just because that's probably one of the funniest jokes in this movie. And this movie's pretty decent. And the only other gripe is people still think Cloud and Aerith is a thing.
It's not, though.
Even the developer said, no, it's Cloud and Tifa. Stop.
It's been Cloud and Tifa for as long as I can remember.
I will say this, Cloud and Aerith makes more sense than Cloud and Sephiroth. Why is that even a ship?
Because there are some people that like those kinds of ships.
Dude, destroy the guy's hometown.
Still, there are some people that like those kinds of ships with male x male.
I'm not talking about the male x male part, but I'm talking about the fact that they're pulling Fohei in the wrong kind of situation. Crimson?
Voting?
No, I'm saying you got anything negative?
Oh, I said it. Leon, I wish he could have been in here, but like you
It's
said,
not
different.
possible.
Yeah, it's not possible.
All right, so I guess scoring,
Yeah.
I will give it 5 out of 5 dilly.
Dilly, shally.
Yeah, whatever
I
that.
think what you mean is dilly dally, shilly shally.
Yes,
Yeah,
dilly,
that
5
was
out of
it.
5 dilly, dally, shilly, shally.
There you go.
Just throw your
I'm going to give this 5 out of 5 Omni Slashes.
I'm just giving it a plain 5 out of 5.
I'm just like him. I'm laying 5 out of 5.
Perfect score.
Damn, we haven't had one of those in a while. Catch us next time as we watch.
Catherine says, sorry, just had to steal it from you.
I'm sending you to Twisty Never later. All right, we'll catch you next time as we watch that. Although we might have to replace Crimson. It's the MCTC Anime Club signing off.